Rev up your engines!
Now here's something even I can't believe. Hyundai had to recall 466,000 Sonatas because the turn signals might work backwards. I can't believe this one. You put on your left turn signal, but it turns on the right turn signal outside instead. This is what cars have come to. Back in the day, they were simple. You'd put the turn signal on, 12 volts, went to the flasher relay, which would flash them on and off. Doesn't work that way anymore. It's all run by computers. So the computers have to look at what you did and then make a decision and then flash them. Well, turns out that their computer software isn't too good, and that their smart junction box may interpret it wrong through software, and thinking that when you're going left, you really wanted to go right, so it turns the right. And when you want to go right, it turns the left ones on. Not too smart. There's a junction box that has the wrong name. It should be dumb junction box instead of smart junction box. Now, they're not recalling for a month until November 19th, so check yours out. See which way it's going, you know, and if it's going the wrong way, I guess maybe you got to turn signal backwards for a while. This is what happens when you put that kind of technology into vehicles. The turn signal on and it does the other one. And like I say, the Korean cars, they can talk all they want about quality. They don't have it. They never really had it, and they certainly still don't have it today. And they can spend all the money in the world advertising to say how great they are, but when the rubber hits the road, you turn your turn signal on, it does the other side. Hey, something's wrong here. JB1961 says, I got an '05 Sequoia. I had to have the Takata airbags changed. I don't have any codes or anything, but I went to customer service and they said, it needs a $1,000 clock spring repair. I said, no, I am going to check with corporate Toyota. What do you think I should do? This is the problem that always occurs with dealerships. Understand one thing and one thing only. They're there to make money. Yes, complain to Toyota corporate. Toyota generally seems to care about their customers. The Toyota dealerships are owned by Americans in the United States who just want to make money. They are not part of Toyota. They get the right to have a dealership, but they're not the company. They're private businesses. All they want to do is make money. Anytime they call you in for a recall, they'll try to sell you something. I see that all the time. People bring me cars and say, I took it for recall and they said I need $1,500 worth of work, blah, 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 blah. They just want to sell you stuff. That's how it goes. I would complain to Toyota Corporate and see what happens, and they'll probably get a decent response from them. They usually give a pretty good response. But it's just typical. Any kind of dealership. You take something in under warranty, they're going to try to sell you something else because they want to make money. They don't make money on the warranty work. So they want to make money from you. They'll make up stuff. I see it all the time. Now, if you got a bad clock spring, there's going to be codes. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. Now, realize, if they change the Takata airbag, they messed with that airbag system, and they could have messed with the clock spring, and they could have broken it. And if now they say you have to pay for it, and you didn't have that problem before because you scanned it with a scan tool, definitely complain to Toyota Corporate because they worked on that system. Faster OG says, I bought a 2008 Audi S5. I have P2014 and P2006 for the runner valves on the intake manifold. They said that they want $4,600 to fix it. What do you suggest? You should have asked me before you had problems. I would have suggested don't ever buy a used Audi. They're endless money pits. That's how those cars are. You bought an endless money pit. Now the intake runners aren't working right. But here's how intake runners work. They open and close internally to make the length of the intake tubes longer or shorter where the air travels through. So you get better gas mileage with one setting, you get more power with the other. If it runs good enough, live with it and drive it that way. Because the only way you're going to be able to fix it is by replacing it, and it does cost a small fortune. Then the car has to be reprogrammed. You can never do that stuff yourself. Now, you could try, take out the air filter, you can try spraying a bunch of cleaner and trying to free them. Maybe the stupid intake runners are stuck from carbon built up into it. It's an older car. Maybe you can clean it with some spray intake cleaner. Sometimes that'll work. Give it a try. But if it doesn't and they're actually broken, you're screwed because it's an Audi. And it costs a fortune to work on. They're hellacious things to work on. The parts cost a fortune, and then they have to be reprogrammed by an Audi mechanic. They're very specialty things. You have to have specialty equipment to work on. This is why I tell people, do not buy an Audi, especially a used one. They're endless money pits as they age, and it's your money that'll be flying away, and it'll just keep flying away forever until you get rid of it. I had a neighbor who was a corporate lawyer. He got rid of his. He was making, $350, $400 a year. He couldn't stand it anymore. He got rid of it, and he got himself a Honda, and he loved the Honda. Hall Kid says, Scotty, I got an '02 Chevy Trailblazer. My throttle body is making a humming noise when I drive. Normal or fast speed? What could it be? A lot of times they hum because the automatic adjusters in it that adjust how much air to fuel ratio, they can get dirty. So you can clean it all with throttle body cleaner. A lot of times it will clean it. Now also check the hoses feeding it, because if the hoses get old, and that's an '02, so that's, it's a 20-year-old vehicle. The hoses get old and they'll because the rubber vibrates, because some of it's hard, some of it's soft, and it'll vibrate. You might change all the rubber hoses that go to it, because they'll hum too. They'll because they're worn. I see that all the time. Check all those rubber hoses. If they're shot, replace them. You go to any auto parts store, say, I need 2 feet of this hose, 3 feet of that hose. Just cut the old hose off and measure it. Bring it into the store and say, I need this diameter and this diameter. They can sell you and put it on. A lot of times that'll fix it. Now, if it doesn't, the valve itself could be all carboned up. You can clean that, and that'll usually fix the problem too. But a lot of times it's those rubber hoses. They get that old now. They start vibrating. So if it's doing it, you put your hand on a hose, you feel it vibrate. You know that's what it is, and replace it. Back in RA85 says, I got a 2007 Volkswagen GTI. My transmission, when it warms up, it won't go into reverse. I get code P2711, engine disengagement. I changed the transmission fluid and it didn't make any difference. This is why I tell people not to buy Volkswagens, especially with automatic transmissions. They're garbage as they age. Yours is going out. Reverse gear is going out. That's often the first gear that goes out is reverse. It is going to cost you a fortune to have that thing fixed. Last time I saw somebody get one of those rebuilt, it was $3,800. And that was a rebuild. That wasn't even a new transmission. That was fixing the old one and rebuilding. That's the problem with Volkswagen. That's why you don't want to buy Volkswagens. And of course, you have the turbo. The turbos put out a lot more power. That strains the automatic transmission even more. Get a standard transmission, don't get an automatic. It eats up their automatic transmissions when they age. It's an '07, so it's getting old. You didn't say the mileage, but I've never seen one of those things go much more than 100, 120,000 miles, the automatics, before they started to break down. They can't take that extra pressure from the turbo. And then they're weak transmissions anyways, and they cost a fortune to rebuild. If I were you, I'd say probably time to get rid of that thing, get something more dependable like a Toyota or a Honda. Hey, layman says, I bought an '05 F-150 long bed with 7 lug rims. I can't find rims for that. Should I replace the rotors to 6 lug? Not sure if 8 lug rotors will fit, or get adapters. Put new hubs on. Do not get adapters. You're messing with the big Ford F-150. You put adapters on, they can snap, they can break off. They're too dangerous. I don't care. It's just you got one thing bolts on, then you got the wheels that bolt on that. You're adding another layer of stuff that can possibly go wrong. Change the hubs to whatever size wheels you want and leave it at that. Do not put adapters on. Adapters are a big mistake. I see more people, they put adapters on, they stick out wrong, then the alignment's wrong, they don't corner right. I've seen them break and fall off going down a highway. Get the right hubs for the wheels you want. Me, I just leave what's on it. What the heck? Who cares? If you want to change it, change the hubs. Do not put adapters on. Speaking of complexity in modern cars, here's one. I was working on a 2011 Tahoe. The thing wouldn't start. Wouldn't start. You try to start it, nothing happened at all. Didn't crank, didn't do anything. When I put my scan tool on it, it had a communication code, that there was loss of communication, right? Well, there's so many sensors and computer modules. Great, what do? I just went around and started unplugging stuff. And here's the weirdest thing. The system didn't start because of a problem in the anti-lock braking system. Now, this is a car that's not running, so you need ABS to make it brake right. The car was shut off, but it wouldn't restart. And here's what happened. And you find this stuff all the time if you're ever working on your own car. When I unplugged the ABS brake module, then the car started right up. Well, it turns out there was a problem in the ABS brake module. Now, you think, how could that make the car not start? Well, all the modules talk to each other. They're interrelated. And that short in the ABS module was interfering with the main computer talking to the body control that says start your car. Because realize cars aren't like they used to be. They don't have electricity going from the battery to the key to the starter. You only have a 5-volt reference on your ignition key now. It's not even 12 volts. When you turn it, that tells the computer with a 5-volt signal that, okay, should we start the car? And the computer looks and says, is it parked? Is this done? Is it not running? Blah, 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 blah. Then it decides, yes, we're going to start the car. Well, since the ABS module had shorted out that connection between the two of them, the car wouldn't start. So if you ever get something like that, you're stuck somewhere and you get a loss of communication. Hey, start unplugging things one at a time. And then if it does start, you know, the thing you unplugged is where the problem lies. Now, in this case, once you got it started, you could plug it back in and it would run. But I would just say unplug the ABS module, either get fixed or live without ABS brakes, because that was a very expensive repair. I had to replace the module and it cost a whole bunch of money, and then I had to reprogram it. So maybe they're making things a little too complicated these days, that if a brake control module goes out, you can't start your car. And so many GMs, if the radio has a problem, the car won't start. And if people change their radio, sometimes the car won't even start. Insanity. They're building them insane. Hey, at least I'll try to help you to fix this insanity when it breaks for you. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.